For my jars, I use Dixie Belle Paint colors Buttercream, Bunker Hill Blue, and Barn Red, but you can use any of the Dixie Belle Paint colors that you love. Make sure your jars are nice and clean and then give them a good coat of buttercream on the outside of the jars. Let this dry completely before moving on. Okay, once your jars are dry, you can go ahead and grab your painter's tape. You want to tear off about a 12-inch strip. I use pint-sized jars. If you're using something bigger, you may need to adjust this a little bit and tear off a little bit more. What we're going to do is place the tape right below the rim of the jar so we get a good straight line. We'll use the rim as our guide. Once that's wrapped around, you may have little gaps in there, and you can just tear off little small pieces of the painter's tape to fill in those little gaps. Next, go ahead and tear off a second strip of the painter's tape and place that piece right underneath the first piece that we placed on the jar. Next, you'll go ahead and tear off a third piece of painter's tape, again about 12 inches long, and we'll place this piece under the second piece on our jar. Next step will be to remove the second strip of tape, so the middle one on the jar. Go ahead and keep this piece because we'll use it here in a second. Now we're going to take that second piece and we're going to place it underneath the third piece that we put on the jar. Next step will be to take little pieces and create that bottom strip around the very bottom of the jar. This will be easier if you use just little pieces of tape to fill in because the jar is kind of concave on the bottom. It's easier to shape around there with the little pieces. Then you'll remove that 1, 2, 3, 4th strip, and then you should have 3 perfectly spaced out painter tape strips around your jar. They will look something like this. Next, we'll get ready to paint our red stripes. Okay, so now we're going to paint our red stripes. So go ahead and grab your Barn Red Dixie Belle paint and a paintbrush, and we'll paint all of the areas on our jars that are showing, all the white areas that are showing. And you'll want to do 2 jars like that to create the flag. So go ahead and paint 2 jars, and we'll set those aside to dry. Okay, so now we're going to make our star jar. I found these really cool repositionable vinyl stickers. They work great because they don't stick completely to the jar. I tried to use the paper ones and it just made a big mess because they just stuck to the jar and they wouldn't come off, and then when I tried to scrape them off, it scraped the paint off. So don't use paper stickers. Try and find these vinyl repositionable stickers, and if you have a vinyl cutter and vinyl, that would probably work as well. You could make your very own. Randomly place your vinyl star stickers all over your jar. You want to place them out, spread them out nice and random all over there. You want to make sure they're nice and stuck down so that the paint doesn't go underneath the stickers. And then we'll grab our Bunker Hill Blue and a paintbrush, and we'll go ahead and paint all the white area of the jar. So give that a real good, nice coverage, covering all the white, and then we want to set this aside to dry. So we have both of our painted jars, and we're going to make sure that they're totally dry before we move on. Once your jars are completely dry, you can go ahead and remove the star of the vinyl stickers. You can use a little bit of a little paper pick or a little small tweezer if you're having a hard time getting them off. You just want to be careful and not scrape the paint. And then you can tear your tape off of your striped jars. You want to carefully remove the tape and peel all of that away, and you'll reveal those really cool stripes. Next, if you want to, you can sand your jars down so you can give them a little bit of a distressed look. You want to use a really, really light sandpaper and then just lightly, lightly sand away some of that paint. Next, you can grab some jute and tie that around the tops of your jars if you wish. Put your tea lights in, light them up, and there you go. A beautiful, beautiful Patriotic Mason jar display. enjoy.